So, welcome to Seek the Magic, where we explore the mysteries of life and human experience and uncover the secrets to living a more authentic, empowered life. Today, we're joined by Claire, who's a vibrant and inspiring woman who's on a mission to help us understand and celebrate hormonal cycles. And as a late diagnosed ADHD mom, Claire has a unique perspective on the ups and downs of life and passionate about sharing her insights. So, very excited to speak with her today. Welcome, Claire.
Hello, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So, Claire, can we start by maybe just sharing your story and how you discovered what you're currently working on? And just start there.
Okay. Well, very quick background. I'm from England originally, and I was a professional dancer, and I got swept off my feet by a handsome Australian, and now I'm living in Australia. And I gave up dancing, and when I had children, I decided to do some primal health coach training to find out about health and wellness for my kids, that kind of thing. And I loved that, but I always felt that there was something not quite right with me. I always felt like there was something broken, inconsistent, and I just wasn't getting the results that I wanted. And I went through my 40s, and I found that I was putting on weight, and I was trying to not, doing all the health coaching things, and I didn't know why I was putting on weight. And it was really tricky. And I had to dive into what was going on. And I found a guy, funnily enough, it was a guy who talked about weight loss with regards to making sure that you're working with your hormones. And I didn't know what that was. And I found it really fascinating how he said you have to make sure you understand your hormones and you're working in the right part of your cycle to do the right thing. And I did a massive big deep dive into that because he only touched on it briefly. And I found so much information about our hormonal journey through every single cycle. We are literally 4 different women every single month in everything we do and everything we are, from our brain speed, our memory, flexibility, how we sunburn, our voices, as well as moods and emotions, and so many other things are affected every single week. It's not just about that one crappy week where you feel, a bit gloomy or down or what have you. And it was just mind-blowing for me to be in my 40s and not have a clue that any of this was going on. And I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I was just like, you know what? I think my life would have been so different if I had known all of this information. So now I understand, having learned that I've got ADHD, I went on a massive big hyperfocus, and I read as much as I could, and I watched webinars and all different things of all different women do it different ways. But I wanted something that was very empowering and positive for her, that was easy to remember for me and my ADHD, and also that was something that I could share with the boys as well, because I have a son and a husband. Mm-hmm. And so I took all the parts that resonated with me from all the different places, plus also the science, because the science is really important to me as well. I mean, I love the spirituality and all of that kind of stuff, but I like to understand from an actual physical perspective as well. And so I created my own system and my own names for the phases so that I could share them easily. And that's how I got started on the journey. And because I did it for me and my daughter and my family, and then I just wanted to talk to other women about it because it's so important, and we all should know it. You think, gosh, I'm a woman. How do I not know that this is what's going on inside my body? And so other women started to ask me how I did it and what I knew, and could I share it with them and that kind of thing. And so that's how Fenway kind of got born. Really.
That's amazing. Yeah. And it's so I've recently, just in listening to, reading some articles, have started to realize the power of it. And I'm almost in my 40s, and I'm like, how did I not know this before? And it's such a gift that you can, give that to your daughter and to the entire community. Before when we corresponded earlier, you were talking about cycle syncing and hormonal superpowers. Can you, talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So the kind of, I suppose, the generic term for knowing all about your hormones and everything that they do through the monthly journey It's called lots of things. It's called menstrual cycle awareness, but also cycle syncing is more of a trendy term in that once you understand your hormones and the effects that they have on you and the things that you do with them and how your body and brain and mind and emotions change, then you start to feel like you have more control over yourself and your life. So you start to change how you live so that you do the things that you want to do in the most optimum time for you with your hormones and such. So, for example, if you've got a really busy, heavy workload and you need to get loads of stuff done and you need to have quick thinking and responses and you need to churn out loads of stuff and be really dynamic and in control and all of that kind of stuff. You want to do it in what I call the daring phase, which is after your period and before you ovulate, because that's where your estrogen is rising and everything is really geared for quick thinking, logical thinking, plowing on, getting work done and driven and that kind of stuff. So you start to, once you understand the phases and the different personalities that they have, you can coordinate your life, so to speak, to the strengths and challenges of your phases so that you can just life flows a bit better because you can kind of go, I'm not going to do that this week because I know that I'm going to suck at it this week. Right. So I'm going to wait until I'm in my best time to do, whatever it is you want to do kind of thing. So that's what cycle syncing is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That makes sense. And also you can be more forgiving of, yourself at certain times of the month to say okay, this is not the best time to do this, or I need to give myself a little more self-care during this time. So that's really great. I'm curious. I love the term superpower. And so you talked about the different personas. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yes. Yeah. So, and this again was kind of started by thinking about it for my daughter. There are some women that call the different phases, if you like spring, summer, autumn, winter, and some people stick with the or more scientific-y, though sometimes they're not always correct terms of saying menstrual phase, follicular phase, luteal phase, and that kind of thing. And right. I'm like, well, but do you know what? If I mention that to my husband, he's going to go, ew, no, I don't want to be hearing that. Thanks very much.
Yes.
So I wanted to create a way of sharing the phases that was easy to remember, but it also encapsulated the main, theme of each phase.
Yeah.
So I distilled them down to 4 words. It does have an overlying theme, which then becomes the persona, which then becomes the kind of general mood, and it gives you the idea very quickly of what your powers are in each phase. So the phases for me are wisdom, which is when you're on your period, menstruation. Then you have daring, which comes from the end of your period up until the day you ovulate. And then we slide from daring into harmony, which is from the day you ovulate and down until the day you start to feel that PMT crankiness sliding in, which is then when you go into the phase that I call freedom. And I took ages and I was scouring through dictionaries and thesauruses and, trying to find the words that would for me encapsulate the phases. And because I wanted them all to be positive, because, there is so much of our menstrual cycle that is negative and it has these connotations and stuff. I wanted to blast that away and give women a power in every phase so that wherever they are, they have got powers and they've got positive things that they can draw from and focus on them and feel. So that's where my 4 superpower phases came into being.
I love that. And I love the idea, just thinking of it like daring, that makes me think, okay, how can I use this to my advantage, and how can I, get excited, and freedom too. And I certainly growing up, getting my period was a rite of passage, but then after that, it is sort of, framed negatively in that it's when do you have PMS, and then you sort of have to hide or, feel like you need to conceal things. And instead it should be something that is celebrated. So
totally. I mean, we are literally, we are on our period for between 7 to 9 years of our life.
That is crazy.
And, it's a long time to be negative about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? No, once they start sinking and understanding their phases and stuff and realizing that they do have power in every phase, they start to enjoy every phase. And even some women start to look forward to their period because they go, oh my gosh, yay. That means that I'm in wisdom, which means it's me time and I can reset and I can recalibrate myself and I can say no to other people. And so they embrace the power, and it just makes life so much more beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I remember reading a book in college, The Red Tent, which is about, when women had their period and it was a certain time that they would, both go inward, but then they would also connect with other women. And it was a time to sort of like share and be in a sacred time, which I think is a beautiful way to celebrate that moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And our busy lives, it's just lost, hasn't it? So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So how has this impacted your daughter and, how she goes about things? Or have you seen a difference now that you've introduced this way of thinking?
It has to our entire family, actually, even the boys. I have a 12-year-old son, and because we have a family poster on the fridge. And it's got the circle. And so we move the magnet around. Mm-hmm. So everyone knows what phase we're in. And I have created it so that it says, okay, so in wisdom, these are the things she may be feeling or what may be going on inside her. These are things that she might really, really like or want you to do, or ways you can support her, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then around the sides at the end, it says, don't even bother trying to do these things in this phase. So as it goes around, so my son will look at the magnets and he'll go, oh, Mama, what phase do you want? And he'll go, oh, you're in freedom. No, don't worry about it. I'll come back next week. I'll ask you next week,
that's really sweet.
So he's developed an understanding of learning how we work, and my husband as well. So my daughter can come out and go, yeah, I'm in wisdom at the moment, and it's not a icky thing, or it's not something she has to feel embarrassed of saying, oh, I've started my period or anything, but she can just go, I'm in wisdom, and Daddy knows, oh, okay. So I'll let her just, if she wants to chill out in her bedroom, I'll give her that extra leeway because I understand where she's at. So it has completely helped her have more harmony and understanding. And we try and work together a lot more because we try and give each other a lot more give and take and meet each other where we're at. And now that I understand my hormones and my journey, I actually know where I'm at, whereas before I didn't. So it instead of coming as a surprise to me now, it has created a lot more harmony and workability within our home. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. And in my family, I have a 1 and a 3-year-old. It's a 3-year-old boy, 1-year-old girl, and then my husband. And of course, they're too young to think about it. But for me and my husband, that's, a great communication thing in general. And then once my kids get to that age, I think it'll be really useful because I think, in generations before, I know I certainly did not talk to my father about my period at all. So It was just, a mom and daughter thing. And then, that's
and keeping it quiet and
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is so beautiful. And to speak in it in ways, as you said, that aren't, necessarily the scientific terms, but the, wisdom and, things like that. So it's in a way that both genders can feel comfortable talking about it without,
exactly.
Without getting too, that is so beautiful. So I think I need to get a chart like that now. So how have you introduced this? You mentioned that, are connecting with a wider community about that. How did that come about, and how are you helping other women and families?
Well, I joined an entrepreneurs group a good while ago, actually. It was just a local community of women entrepreneurs that got together to have catch-ups to support each other and stuff. And I was knowing that I wanted to do something on my own with my own business around helping women and stuff. And originally thought that it would be, I would try and be a health coach because that's what I certified as. But as I went through my journey and learnt all of this, and I just started sharing it within that group, you know, women were asking me and they were like empowering me in a way to kind of go, oh my gosh, that's really good. You should tell people, you should, you know, do something with this because it's fantastic. I would love to know more about it and that kind of thing. And that's where it kind of grew. So I started by, I did a couple of workshops. Like I did a workshop at my local chiropractors for women because they do little workshops about health and wellness and stuff. So I started like that. And then I did one for my daughter she was in a teen, it was called Standing Strong for teen girls to like work together and build resilience and stuff. And I went and did a workshop for them. And then I took it online. My husband helped me build a website, and I am slowly building and finding a way to share through. I'm building a course and how to get the journals and the posters and everything that I've created out to people. So I'm early stages yet. And then being on podcasts and just sharing so that other women can go, oh my gosh, that's something that resonates with me. I think I'd like to learn more, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. And I certainly, you know, I appreciate learning more about it and, you know, sharing that information. And it's certainly something that I feel like women our age, it's great for us to know. And then, of course, to teach our children and the next generation as well.
Yeah.
I'm curious, you touched on this a little bit about ADHD. You mentioned that you discovered this through initially finding out with your daughter. Do you want to share a bit more about that part of your journey?
Yeah, it does link as well. We were having issues with her once she started high school. She started to kind of almost retreat into herself. And the bright, bubbly girl that she used to be in primary school, she started to just be quiet and shy and say, oh, I really don't like school. Why am I wasting my time? That kind of thing. And it just seemed to get worse and worse. We tried sending her to a new school, and she was just like, I really don't like it. I don't like when the teachers are looking at me. I don't like when they draw attention to me. I can't focus on my work. And then she just went inside herself and stopped sharing and talking and stuff. And it got to a point where she actually almost shut down because we didn't know what was going on with her. And I actually said to her, darling, I feel like you're in a cage. You've put yourself in a glass box. And you want me to help you get out, but you've got the key. And so unless you share it with me, I can't help you. Can you try and tell me what's going on? And she went away. She came back a couple of days later and she went, I think I might be neurodivergent, Mum. I think I might have ADHD or something. And I was like,
wow.
Oh, okay. Right. I had no really clue about ADHD or what it was. You know, you just, unless it touches your life, you just go with what you hear on the kind of like media grapevine. It's little boys in class that can't sit still. And that's all I knew that it was. I didn't understand what ADHD actually was within the brain and what it did to you and stuff. And I said to her, can you tell me what made you think that then? What symptoms do you have? What are you going through? That kind of thing. And she pulled up a Pinterest board because, you know, 15, 16-year-olds, that's what she did. And she was listing all of these different things, how she felt, what she did and stuff like that. And I was reading through them going, oh, okay, but I do that, darling. So I think that's just normal. And, oh, that sounds like me as well, sweetheart. I'm not sure. We went through so many of these things and I went, darling, that sounds just normal because I do that as well. And she just turned around to me and she looked at me and she went, Mama, no, it's actually not normal. So maybe you need to actually have a think about it yourself as well. And I went, Oh, really? And so then we together learned a deep dive learning hole of ADHD, what it is, how it presents in women and girls, which is so different from boys, and why so many women pass through the cracks like we did and are completely undiscovered. And then funnily enough, I spoke to my sister who lives back in England. She has 4 girls in their like mid-20s to 30s now. So 3 of them have got ADHD that they only found out in the last 5 years about. So it was a big learning curve. And the more we've learned, the more prevalent it is, and the more women that I speak to that go, oh, I didn't know that. That sounds like me. Maybe I should look into it as well.
Yeah. So what are some of the symptoms and how do they present for women that's different? Or
well, generally ADHD is, they call it different things. Some people say that it's a brain metabolism issue. So our brains don't create the chemicals, the dopamine and different things that it needs to maintain what is called executive functioning. So it's the ability of your brain to do all of the normal things that you need to do to get through the day, so especially in women, you'll find that women with ADHD, one of the big things that they talk about, which made me go, oh, okay, was like, if you do the laundry and you put it in the machine and then you come back the next day and it's still there and you have to put it on again because you forgot about it. Or you've left it on the line for 3 days because it hasn't dried, or you can never find your keys, you're always losing things, and just the day-to-day organizational things, especially when you come into motherhood, you just feel like you can't do them. And like all these other mothers look, oh gosh, they've got all their ducks in a row, they're organized, they're tidy, and they're, everything's good. And it's like, I can't even find a pair of socks,
Right.
Or it's the organizational things that a lot of people just take for granted. Oh, I'll just remember to do that. And, I actually found that I had to set alarms to pick my children up from school because I'd get stuck into something and I completely forget.
Right.
And then it's very much have an inner dialogue, because what they say, the hyperactiveness of little boys that can't sit still, girls internalize that. So it's always our brains going, so many conversations in our head, talking about different things all the time, having different thoughts going on, and then beating ourselves up. We go, I'm stupid, I'm lazy, well, I should be able to do this, why can't I do that? And those kinds of things that triggered me going, oh my gosh, that actually sounds like me. Maybe I do have ADHD.
Yeah.
And women's cycles and our hormones do also affect. So our ADHD symptoms go on a cyclical cycle as well, because the hormones affect that as well. So
yeah, can change that. Well, and I think the other interesting part of it is, as you said, looking at like the external expectation of, society thinks we should be doing this, or, look at these other mothers, they seem to have it together. And then you're like, well, that's not how I feel in my head. And that's not how the things are looking inside my house. And it's sort of like you think to yourself, okay, what are my strengths and where are the deficits? And how can I compensate for that? So, I can enjoy what I'm doing and best support my family and not, as you said, beat yourself up all the time. And what I love is how you've, created the monthly cycle for that, is to really lean into, strengths and areas where you can best, go with what your flow is and, where your strengths lie. Because, part of setting alarms is, one thing, but then also having that ability to focus and dive in is also an amazing thing. Right. And so it is.
And now as well, learning, because I'm understanding more how my brain works, being able to say, that's not something that I can do very well. So maybe I need to ask for help or get someone else to do it for me. And that's been a really powerful thing, is actually allowing myself to go, you know what? I don't have to be great at everything, and to be able to go, I can't do that. And that's fine, because that's not how my brain works. So now I can accept feedback from my husband or help from my husband a lot more, because I don't see his help as a kind of backwards way of him telling me that I'm rubbish and I should have been able to do it. It's actually him just going, no, your brain doesn't work like that, so I'm going to take that on for you. So
that's beautiful. Yeah. How do you think that that's, benefited the relationship, or how you guys go about things as a family?
It's made such a big change. It was such a big relief. for me to understand myself and why I did what I did. And it made me aware so I could notice, if I was getting what they call is rejection sensitive dysmorphia. So people that get ADHD take rejection really, really badly. And I used to get very defensive and angry and stuff when I perceived that someone was criticizing me. But now I can go, do you know what? He's not. My husband is not criticizing me. He's seen an issue that he sees that I'm having, and he's trying to help me. So we have a lot more open and honest communication. We have a lot less flare-ups of temper, which I used to do a lot, and I have calmed. And it's also made us closer as a family, because I've been able to say to like my children, I need some help with this. Can you help me? And we've worked together to find ways to make our family gel. And so that's been a real powerful thing about finding out. And it's just that self-awareness and being able to understand myself, which is similar to the cycle. So it's all of the same journey. The more you understand inside how you work and who you are, the better you can communicate it, and the better you can take control of the things that you need to, and you can let go of the things that you don't. So it helps life to flow more.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And I love that, because you are celebrating, and I would say, since this podcast is Seek the Magic, it is really celebrating and finding the magic in, your strengths and even your areas of deficit, because then or I wouldn't say deficit, but areas where you could use help, because then you are connecting with others, either your family or your friends, and really celebrating community in that way. So, and that's absolutely a beautiful thing. So I guess if somebody's listening to this and, saying, oh my gosh, this is amazing information, I want to lean into this, either in, the hormonal cycle or learning more about ADHD. Well, I guess first let's start with the hormonal cycle. What would your advice be to, first learn about it, to kind of take advantage of this new information?
Well, there are lots of ways that you can learn and find out about it. You can follow me and my methodologies of how I do things. There are different books by wonderful women that have their own spin on things. I did do a workshop the other day, and the lady said to me, she went, oh my gosh, where were you 6 months ago? She said, I've been on this journey for 6 months, and I've watched everything and I've read everything. And she said, but you just, how you did it, just laid it out so simply. I wish I'd found you 6 months ago, because then I would have had it. But there are beautiful women doing great things about menstrual cycle awareness and cycle syncing and stuff. But the first thing is to just start being aware of yourself. Just literally take the time every day to do a check of yourself, check in with yourself and go, where is my energy at? Where are my moods and emotions at? How do I feel physically? How do I feel with my brain? So that you can kind of just take note of like where you are in your cycle and how you feel. Because every single one of us is unique, and everyone reacts to our hormones differently. We don't all do the same thing. I mean, there are general things, but everybody is specific and unique to themselves. So you need to kind of go, where am I at today? How do I feel? Where am I in my cycle? And if you do it for a few months, you'll naturally learn your strengths, your challenges, when you struggle with certain things and when you feel empowered to do certain things. So that's the first thing. It's just checking in with yourself every day and taking that time to actually go, how do I feel? Where am I at?
Yeah. I love that. And I think it's, understanding and really both going inward and seeing, okay, how am I feeling? And then looking at, how you've mapped out things to say, what is this? How do I connect with what other people have felt in the hormonal cycle, what other women have felt? I love that. And then for ADHD, is that something that you speak about too in terms of your journey there?
I do a little bit, and I am starting to more, because the more I talk about it, the more I get women going, oh my gosh, I need to learn more. Can you help me? And I do talk about it with regards to the cycles and things like that. But then I also would point people to really well-known ADHD like specialists and things like that. There is in America, it's called Attitude magazine. So ADDITUDE, so Attitude. And their website has been for years. They've got huge amounts of resources about adult ADHD, child diagnosis, medication, all of the stuff. And then you've got women on like Instagram and things like that talking about it from a female experience and how to recognize it and stuff like that. There's a couple that I love. They're in England. It's called ADHD Love. And I got my husband to follow them. And it's really funny. I know when he's watching, because they do little videos, like comedy videos of living in an ADHD household and stuff. And I can hear him like laughing from the other room. And then my phone will ping and he'll have sent me one and go, oh my gosh, this is you. So it gives us, those scenarios where you can recognize, okay, this is how I feel as well. So yeah. And
that's so great. And I loved it. It is great to both, recognize what you're feeling inside and then be able to celebrate and share that. And that is one of the beautiful things about social media and the internet, is that people can provide their perspectives and you don't feel so, unique and, sometimes different.
Yes, alone.
Yeah. So that's beautiful. And I really appreciate you sharing the story with your daughter and just, what she went through and you as a mom saying, okay, how can I help you? How can I help you? What is going on? And really having that open conversation. Because as a mom with two little ones, I'm predicting in the future and definitely look up to that for how you connected with your daughter and helped her.
Yeah. And it has really helped our connection as well, because I think too, because she was struggling so much, and the fact that that now I have it as well, we can work together and work through things and find solutions together. And she'll come up to me and go, "Oh, I've just seen this great thing, Mum. Maybe you should try it." And I'll be like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's do that together." And so it has created even more connection for us in our relationship as well, which has been really great.
That's amazing. Well, I guess as we wrap up here, Claire, is there any, most important takeaway you'd like listeners to remember about your work and your journey?
I just want all women to understand and take on board right into their heart and soul that they are amazing. Our hormones and the journey that we go on every single month is incredible. And even our brain chemistry changes every single month. And there is so much going on inside of us that we need to celebrate ourselves just for being female and going through that, because it's incredible. And we are not broken. We are not crazy. We are not less than, at any point in the month, regardless of what we're feeling. We are cyclical. We are female, and that's how we are supposed to be. I likened it today for a couple of ladies to, if you think about the moon, how different she looks every single day. Sometimes she's a tiny slither, sometimes she's a massive full moon, and sometimes she's not there at all. Her energy changes, she grows and shrinks every single month. And that is how we are as females. And it's very different to the journey of the sun, which is more the male hormone journey. The sun kind of, when we look at it, it doesn't change much. And it comes up and it goes down, it comes up, it goes down, it comes up and it goes down. And every day it's kind of pretty much the same, with little adjustments and mood behaviors and things like that. But our culture has been created on the 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We're supposed to be the same person.
Right.
And that doesn't work for females, because we are the moon. We are not that same person. And so it's okay to go, last week I could do this, but I can't do it this week. And that's okay, because I'm not supposed to. And just embrace the power of being inconsistent and female and changing. That's what I'd love people to take away from it, is that it's not wrong. It's not broken. It's who you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that wisdom. And then where can listeners learn more about your work or connect with you online?
So I have a website. It's called Femway, FEMMWAY.com. And my Instagram is at Femway Life. And that's the same on Facebook as well. And that's where I am.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, we will include that in the show notes. And I certainly will be following you and learning more and sharing with my family as things evolve. So thank you so much for your time and sharing the magic of how our brains work, the feminine cycle, and celebrating all the specialness that we are. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.